The acrid smoke was still rising from what used to be my $8 million mountain mansion, black tendrils curling into the cold, perfect Colorado morning, like the whole sky was suddenly keeping score and I'd just lost the game. Cordelia Ashford, cream-colored blazer, clipboard in hand like some bored angel of death, was smiling at me with that look people get when they think they've won for good, that little flash of satisfaction that comes right before the world flips upside down. The Caterpillar bulldozer behind her made popping noises as its diesel engine cooled, metal ticking in the thin mountain air, 9,000 feet up, like the sound of a countdown to someone's reckoning. "You should have paid the $47,000 in HOA fines," she said, sweet as antifreeze. "Pleasant only until you swallow it. We sent you 73 notices over the past 2 years. This was completely avoidable." "Yeah, that happened." I glanced down, and there it was, a chunk of bluestone caught between demolished marble tiles, glittering even through the dust. Tanzanite, rarer than diamonds, worth more than most people could imagine, and right then, all it did was remind me that everything in my life had been cracked open for the whole world to see. The sharp tang of industrial chemicals hung in the air with the scent of pine and the bitterness of wrecked dreams. I felt that blue crystal in my palm and realized Cordelia had no idea what she'd just stepped into. 3 things, fatal mistakes. First, I'd never even been a member of her HOA, and the documents proving it were locked away in a Denver safety deposit box, untouched, immune to her little crusade. Second, she'd just destroyed evidence of an illegal mining ring worth $200 million, a federal investigation 3 years in the making. And third, maybe most important, she hadn't just picked a fight with some random homeowner. She'd just demolished the safe house of United States Senator Silas Blackwood, chair of the Senate Subcommittee on Mining Oversight. She'd committed about 17 federal crimes before breakfast, all because she couldn't stand the color of my roof. So, standing there in the ruins, I realized Cordelia had just turned her little power play into a national scandal, the kind that changes lives and topples empires. If you've ever seen someone abuse their power and thought, they're going to regret that, well, you know what I mean. The drive up the mountain that morning had been a dream. October in Colorado, that kind of day that makes you think anything's possible, sky so blue it's almost aggressive, aspen leaves burning gold. I'd just come back from Washington, 2 weeks of classified hearings about rare earth mineral trafficking. Boring to most folks, but it kept me awake at night. I'd been climbing from Denver's mile-high chaos up to my own sanctuary at 9,000 feet, a place where thin air made tourists dizzy but made me feel alive. My security gate should have been my first warning. The system I designed, military grade, cost more than most cars, was offline. Not broken, not damaged, just surgically unplugged. The solar panels were fine, but the data cables had been cut, clean as a whistle. Backup alert systems dead too. Something was wrong in the woods. The driveway wound through pine and aspen, the colors tunnel bright, but the calm was fake. My old army instincts kicked in, 15 years dormant, but they never really go away. Deep tire tracks cut into the grass, tracks from heavy equipment. Nothing routine, nothing innocent about it. When I rounded that last bend and saw what was left of my house, my world shifted, gravity gone haywire. Demolished isn't the word. Obliterated. My 3-story timber and stone mansion, a crater now, splintered beams, pulverized stone, a wasteland. The great room's floor-to-ceiling windows that used to frame the Continental Divide, just a memory. But what made my blood go cold were the drill holes. 30-foot cores punched through the foundation, not random. Someone was looking for something. The stink of RDX explosives, the kind civilians can't get. Controlled blasts to get through reinforced walls built to Department of Defense specs. And everywhere, if you knew how to look, blue crystals, tanzanite, scattered through the rubble, each one worth a small fortune, each one a federal offense. But Cordelia? She'd only seen a house that clashed with her sense of order, a problem to be solved. She had no idea she'd just blown the lid off a federal case that reached all the way into the mining industry's highest offices. I pulled out my satellite phone, the kind that uploads encrypted security footage to servers in Virginia every 12 hours, beyond any HOA lawyer's reach. 6 hidden cameras, thermal imaging, night vision, audio that can catch a whisper from 50 yards. All there. First video was 3 days ago, for 17 a.m. A convoy. White Ford F-350 up front, Ashford Property Management on the doors. Cordelia in heels and a business suit, barking orders. Lowboy trailer with a $500,000 excavator. She called it a safety demolition. Lied through her teeth about abandoned property and structural hazard. One of the demolition guys pushed back, said the house looked solid, overbuilt, could survive an earthquake. Cordelia snapped. Are you questioning my authority? She waved, county paperwork. But even on the grainy zoom, I could see the seal was wrong and the signature belonged to a guy who'd retired 2 years ago. Forgery, minimum 5 years, federal time. But the real twist came on day 2. Roland Ashford, Cordelia's husband, showed up. Not with demolition crews. These were miners, with core drills and sample bags. They drilled through my basement, pulled up samples, labeled, and locked them away. I caught him on video. Vein runs right under the foundation. Just like the surveys predicted, this could be the richest deposit in North America. He didn't know I could read lips, even when the sound was garbled. Those surveys were classified from my own days at the Defense Department, leaked, sold, used to target Tanzanite right beneath American homes. My house wasn't random. It was ground zero for a conspiracy. 5 years ago, I'd stumbled onto Tanzanite in the Rockies. Should have meant billions for the country, jobs, security, the whole American dream. Instead, I found military contractors stealing it, faking documents, destroying land, shipping the loot through black markets. When I tried to blow the whistle, they threatened my family. Details so precise it chilled my blood. The FBI put me in witness protection, but their version meant making me a senator running on environmental reform. The election was real, but the rest was a fiction stacked up to keep me alive. The house was my safe house, hidden behind layers of corporate trust and classified budgets. Cordelia had destroyed not just my home, but the center of a federal investigation. She'd wiped out evidence, documents, hard drives, testimony from whistleblowers already disappeared. All because she thought I owed her HOA for a flagpole. After the demolition, the mining operation went into high gear. Huge drills, trucks, gear you'd never see at a demolition, pulling out millions in Tanzanite, erasing every trace. Sitting in my rental car, I watched the whole thing play out on my phone, the sun rising over the wreckage, and I realized Cordelia thought she'd won. But she'd given me everything I needed: video, audio, forged documents, proof of conspiracy. I started connecting the dots. 7 other properties in 3 years, all acquired through HOA harassment, all sitting on mineral deposits, all traced to the same Delaware shell companies. The Hendersons, the Yamamotos, the Johnsons, families destroyed by the same scam. They never saw it coming. My phone buzzed. Esperanza Rodriguez, FBI Mining Crimes Division, an old Army buddy. Saw the satellite imagery. They actually did it. You want us to move now or wait? I typed back, wait. Let them think they've won. I want them cocky when we spring the trap. Because that's how you end an empire, when its leaders are busy celebrating. I holed up in a Hampton Inn, set up my little war room, 3 laptops, 2 burner phones, satellite uplink. Called my chief of staff, environmental crimes group, emergency meeting, tomorrow. Tanzanite investigation. Called a friend at the Pentagon about the missing survey data. Found it. Then called a fixer in D.C. Colorado. Situation just went hot. Need full oversight authority. Wheels turning. I downloaded every HOA bylaw, every county filing. Found the map showing how the HOA's boundaries kept expanding over the years, always swallowing up land on top of mineral deposits. Pattern was obvious. Cordelia would identify a target, Roland's company would confirm the minerals, the HOA would harass the owner until they gave up. Then the land got bought for pennies on the dollar. I'd been their biggest miscalculation. They didn't know who they were up against. Tuesday night, I walked into the community center for the monthly HOA meeting. Cordelia was up front, controlling every detail, her board flanking her like loyal guards. She started in on her speech about compliance action at my address, lying about payment plans and mediation, describing my home as an eyesore and a danger. An older man in the back piped up, "Seems extreme, Cordelia, demolishing someone's house over HOA fines." She glared. "Would you rather see property values destroyed?" I stood up. The room went quiet, every eye on me. "You're right, Cordelia. I was never in your HOA. That makes what you did very interesting. I connected my phone to the projector, showed my property deed, legally outside the HOA's reach, showed the forged demolition order, called the retired inspector, ready to testify, showed security footage of Roland's crew mining tanzanite, showed the map. Every home forced out in the last 3 years sat on top of valuable minerals. Cordelia lost it, shouting about lies and slander, threatening to sue. Please do, I said, calm as a lake. Discovery will be fascinating. Then I dropped the bomb. My name is Silas Blackwood. I'm the senior U.S. Senator from Colorado and chair of the Senate Subcommittee on Mining Oversight. Cordelia, you didn't just demolish my house. You destroyed a federal safe house and evidence in a criminal investigation. Silence. She paled, hands gripping the table, her board members sliding their chairs away, rats leaving a sinking ship. I explained the charges: mail fraud, forgery, theft of government resources, environmental destruction. One board member stammered they didn't know, but I warned ignorance only goes so far. I told them to cooperate if they valued their freedom. People bolted for the doors. Cordelia tried one more bluff. You can't prove any of this. I smiled. My security system uploads off-site every 12 hours. We have everything, even your husband's confession. Her phone buzzed, Roland texting her, but I already knew what it said. FBI raids had started, warrants for everything they owned. Cordelia slumped, beaten. What do you want? She asked. Justice. For the families you drove out, for the poisoned land, for the stolen minerals. Names, dates, documents. Full cooperation, or you go down alone. She agreed, gave up the location of a safety deposit box full of records, emails, bank statements, bribes, photos, even a recording of a call with the governor, discussing how to cover up the tanzanite discovery. The conspiracy went all the way to the State House. The next 48 hours were a blur. FBI raids, arrests, evidence piling up. The governor was arrested, 3 county commissioners, even a federal judge. News vans everywhere. The story exploded nationwide. Senate hearings followed, me in a weird double role as victim and committee chair. Cordelia, in her orange jumpsuit, testified for hours, describing how Roland marked properties, how the HOA began with minor violations and escalated to full psychological warfare, anonymous complaints, false reports, dead animals, anything to break homeowners and force a sale. Verdicts took over a year, but they came. Cordelia, 15 years. Roland, 25 years, plus environmental crimes. Governor Hellman, 30 years for abuse of power. Dozens convicted, hundreds of millions seized, and every penny used for restitution and cleanup. Poison wells were replaced, contaminated aquifers filtered, mountainsides stabilized. Families got compensation, some returned home, but the scars, well, money can't fix everything. I turned down the offer to rebuild my house. Instead, I used the settlement to found the Colorado Environmental Justice Center on the ruins. Scientists, lawyers, investigators working to make sure no one else would be targeted for the riches beneath their land. The opening ceremony was 2 years later. Victims, agents, politicians, all there. Laws were changed, federal oversight of HOAs, new rules on geological surveys, protections for whistleblowers. Jennifer Park, one of the first victims, stood up and said it best. They tried to scare us, but we refused to stay silent. Now they're in prison, and we're free. 5 years have passed. The center has investigated hundreds of cases, inspired states across the country to crack down on predatory HOAs. The wildflowers have taken back my old property. The tanzanite is still there, protected by law, not greed. Sometimes I walk the meadow at sunset, thinking about what Cordelia destroyed and what she accidentally built. She thought she could steal a mountain, but she started an avalanche that swept her whole world away. Cordelia's teaching ethics in federal prison now, Roland's in solitary, the governor's writing a book nobody will read. But out here, the water runs clear, the air is clean, the mountains stand watch, and families sleep in peace, knowing the law is finally on their side. That's the lesson. Power can corrupt, but when good people refuse to back down, justice will always find a way to rebuild. So let me ask you, if you discovered your neighbor was running a criminal empire, would you go to the authorities, or would you handle it yourself? Drop your thoughts below, debate it out. Because as long as we keep fighting for what's right, the truth will always win, no matter how many houses fall.